violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
$15,000 reward is being offered for an arrest in the death of a cabbie in Queens. That driver is being remembered now as a loving husband and father.
Chico.
As CBS 2's Andrea Grimes reports, police continue to search for the passengers they say are responsible for his death.
Jessica, immeasurable grief for this family, coming to terms with losing a husband and father. Oh.
And this is super sad. We all know that taxi drivers are taken for granted in the city of New York. A lot of taxi drivers get robbed by super gremlins, get killed by super gremlins, and you know, it's mainly an immigrant job, okay? And it's a tough job. It's a grind, okay? People try and make it seem like it's easy, but it's high risk and, you know, not so good of a reward, even though you can make good money in the taxi cab business, but it's a grind, okay? And it takes a lot of human capital to, you know, scale up something so that you don't actually have to drive yourself. So the fact that this man was killed in the way that he was, you know, it's a testament to the lack of unity that we have in the community. These super gremlins are on demon time.
The widow's immense heartbreak. The wife of cab driver Kutin Gyimah could not hold back her emotions just one day after her beloved husband was killed.
He was a good man. He was a good man. It was my backbone. I'm lost right now. My children's hero.
She spoke out with their 4 young children by her side. The once happy family now shattered.
I don't know what to do right now.
Police say Gyimah's 5 passengers tried to rob him when he dropped them off at Beach 54th Street and Arvin Boulevard Saturday morning.
5 passengers. Man, I mean, I don't know if I'm picking up 5 super gremlins. I don't know if I can do that.
Around 6:30, investigators say Gyimah took off after them, and witnesses saw the passengers, 3 males and 2 females, assault him. Police say he fell to the ground and hit his head.
I am pissed off. I'm angry. And I'm angry because this could have all been avoided.
Yeah, and I already told you guys that these super gremlins don't respect their elders. Therefore, you're picking up 5 of them, and you know, basically you can drive by and profile. But I think the brother was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick these kids up, and it just completely backfired. They didn't want to pay, and you know, that's the result. You can't tell these super gremlins anything. Like I said, the super gremlins do bad business, so it's hard to really justify even taking on that business in the first place.
We need to look around us and say, what city are we living in?
Sunday morning, the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers stood with Gyimah's family outside Big Apple Taxi Fleet Management, where they say he worked tirelessly, especially through the pandemic.
This gentleman drove his cab. He never stopped taking passengers. This, to me, is a hero, like a first responder.
Now his wife and children have to learn to live without him.
I have no words to describe him. He was a good man.
Gyimah's employer has set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for funeral and living expenses for his family. In Far Rockaway, Queens, Andrea Grimes, CBS 2 News.
Everything we had. He was my children's hero.
New developments in the deadly beating of a taxi driver. Late tonight, we learned a 3rd suspect.
Wow, look, it's 2 sisters too. This is absolutely disgraceful, man. Absolutely disgraceful. And we know that the community really they don't have much respect for black immigrants. I don't care whether they're coming from Jamaica, Haiti, or Africa. The black Americans, there is a beef going on with black immigrants. I mean, you can't deny it. It's all over social media. Okay? The African kids or the kids, I mean, Jamaican kids, whoever, they come with a different accent, and if they can't assimilate to black culture extremely quickly, they get made fun of. You can't deny that. I mean, I see it. I mean, we used to have a substitute teacher who used to get made fun of all the time. He was African. Couldn't even teach a class. Those kids had no respect for him. It's crazy.
Has been taken into custody. Good evening. I'm Dick Brennan, in for Maurice Dubois.
Chico.
And I'm Christine Johnson. This latest arrest comes days after police say that cabbie was attacked by a group of passengers.
His widow made an emotional plea today for the other suspects to come forward. CBS 2's Astrid Martinez is live in the Bronx with more on tonight's arrest. Astrid.
Dick and Christine, police say a 15-year-old girl was taken into custody just a couple of hours ago. This as the search continues for those remaining 2 suspects. 3 people.
A 15-year-old girl. Sisters, come get your kids.
Are now in custody in connection with the beating death of a Bronx taxi driver, Kutin Gyimah. His widow was emotional after hearing of the first 2 arrests.
His life has just been cut short just like that.
Gyimah in the red shirt was kicked and punched by a group of passengers after he confronted them. Police say they refused to pay their fare and tried to rob the driver.
Charge them all with murder.
Early Saturday in the Far Rockaways. With the final punch, Gyimah falls to the ground. The 52-year-old husband.
See, and you just going way too far. That is crazy. That man's straight. Everything's done, and then he goes and hits him another time. Charge them all with murder. And these are the types of dudes that these women like. These are the types of dudes that these women reproduce with. These are the types of dudes that these women, you know, enjoy being around.
With the final punch, Gyimah falls to the ground. The 52-year-old husband and father of 4 died from severe head trauma.
My husband was a good man. He was everything we had. He was my children's hero.
Thursday night, a teenage girl was charged with gang assault and theft. 20-year-old Nicholas Porter faces gang assault and theft charges. 20-year-old Austin Amos is accused of throwing the final punch. He now faces several charges, including manslaughter, gang assault, and theft. His widow is calling for justice.
And I mean, I know that's not how the law works, but I wish they all would have been charged with murder, man. I mean, they're responsible for taking this man's life. It's disgusting.
I'm telling them to turn themselves in because...
Bald-headed, like, come on. It's crazy out here, y'all. And they want us to cuff this. After they done dealt with dudes like this, they want us to come on the back end after they done had 3-4 kids with these super gremlins. They want us to come on the back end and cuff them and marry them and you know, raise another man's kids. Yeah, not having it.
We want justice to be served.
The New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers says the family's GoFundMe page has raised more than $148,000 to help raise his 4 children. And those 2 other suspects, including another teen girl, are wanted in connection with the taxi driver's death.
Taxi drivers took a stand for justice after one of their own was killed while dropping off passengers in Queens. At a rally today, they urged the suspects to turn themselves in, and they offered support for the dead driver's grieving wife and 4 children. Eyewitness News reporter Johnny Fernandez has the story from Woodside.
Surrounded by loved ones and taxi drivers, tearful and heartbroken, Abby Gyimah spoke out about her husband, 52-year-old Kutin Gyimah.
I have no words to describe him. He was a good man. He was a good man.
Police say the 52-year-old taxi driver, a father of 4, let 5 passengers out near Beach 54th Street in Queens on Saturday morning. The fare beaters tried to leave without paying, then attack and tried to rob him. Police say the 52-year-old chased after them. Moments later, he was struck by the suspects, fell, struck his head, and died.
Probably was the first fare of his day. It was probably the first person that he picked up. And guess what? It was the last person that he picked up because his life was taken away. For what? For money? It was taken away for money. That's what it all boils down to.
And they think it's about money, but it's bigger than that. It wasn't that they didn't have the money to pay the cab. It's that they're living on, I wish somebody would tell me I can't do this, I can't do that. They have that mentality. They keep trying to make it about money. It's not about money. Don't matter how much money they would have had, they still wouldn't have paid for it. That's the mindset.
Today, the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers gathered to show support for one of their own. The union is now offering a $15,000 reward for the arrest of the people responsible for the death of the 52-year-old taxi driver. A man they say worked restlessly, especially during the height of the pandemic.
This gentleman drove his cab. He never stopped taking passengers. This, to me, is a hero like a first responder. If a doctor, a nurse, someone, a family member needed to get somewhere, he was driving the cab. Yep. He never stopped.
Members of the union and loved ones of the 52-year-old started a GoFundMe page. It's raised over $30,000, but they still want one thing answered. Why did these people commit such a horrific act? The mayor's office, in a statement, calls this death a tragedy that's not only devastating but unacceptable, saying violence will not be tolerated.
This man is all talk, y'all. I mean, what has he even done?
Which is why we're working every day to get violent criminals off our streets. It's the action Abby and her family want to see happen after a heartbreaking death to a man gone too soon.
It was my backbone. I'm lost right now. My children's hero. I don't know what to do right now. I am lost. I am lost in it.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jinquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
The driver was just doing his job this morning, taking passengers to their destination. But police say after he was robbed, the driver ran after them, leading to his death. As CBS 2's Alicia Reed reports, now a $15,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to an arrest.
The family is completely distraught and say they're not ready to speak, but they are being comforted. People have been stopping by all day to pay their respects to the victim's family. We're told within 2 hours of leaving for work this morning, police called with the tragic news. It happened around 6:30. Police say taxi driver Kutin Gyimah brought his 5 passengers to their Far Rockaway destination, and it was there at Beach 54th Street and Arverne Boulevard where the suspects tried to rob him. Witnesses say Gyimah tried chasing them, 3 males and 2 females, when he was hit in the back of the head by at least one of the suspects. The taxi driver fell to the ground, hit his head, and lost consciousness. He later died at St. John's Hospital. The Ghanaian native is described as a devout Christian and family man. He and his wife have 4 children, the oldest only 8 years old. The New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers is offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. In the meantime, friends.
And that's crazy. Only a $15,000 reward. It's different out here, y'all.
And family are trying to wrap their minds around this terrible loss while remembering the type of man he was.
The way he deals with all his children, he's very patient with them. and loving and caring gentleman, hardworking, takes care of the family. Yeah, we've really lost a dedicated father and also a very dedicated Christian.
Funeral expenses are being covered by Gyimah's employer. The New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers is holding a rally tomorrow morning. They tell us the family is planning to attend. In Co-op City, Alicia Reed, CBS 2 News.
Sad that a man that's 51 years old and has a wife and 4 children from the age of 3, 5, 7, and 8 was murdered the way he was.
Police.
And this is why they need to be able to carry, man, because, I mean, this is a dangerous job and it's a thankless job. But, you know, these people, they're going to take advantage.
Say it happened at 6:30 Saturday morning at Beach 54th Street and Arverne Boulevard in the Edgemere section of Queens. A yellow cab driver named Kutin Gyimah was dropping off passengers who allegedly refused to pay the fare and started to walk away. Police say the cab driver chased after them on foot. Then police say at least one of the passengers struck the cab driver, which made him fall to the ground. He hit his head, lost consciousness, and later died.
He went to work basically to earn a living, and he refused to allow a bunch of punks to rob him.
Police are looking for 3 men and 2 women who were his passengers, and the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers is offering a reward and trying to help the cab driver's family.
We're offering $15,000 reward. We have raised $10,000 for the funeral, and we have a GoFundMe page that we're launching to make sure that we can help this grieving wife, mother of 4, put food on the table in the next few weeks.
And the founder of the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers is looking for ways to make yellow cabbie jobs safer.
Taxi drivers just need to make sure that they keep their guard up. They need to look at who they're picking up on the street. Yellow cab drivers don't have the option.
What is he talking about? He's victim blaming. I mean, what do you want them to do? Profile them? Taxi drivers need to do a better job of picking up. I mean, how are you supposed to differentiate who you pick up and who you don't? Off of the basis of what? He's talking around it. As if he could have known that these kids were going to beat him up. These super teen gremlins are on demon time.
That app drivers have. They don't have the option because they can be street hailed, and it's illegal for them not to pick up whoever's street hailing them.
My husband was a good man. He was everything we had. He was my children's hero.
Overcome with emotion, Abigail Gyimah says she found the strength to speak because she wants justice for her husband, 52-year-old Kutin Gyimah. His last moments were captured on surveillance video early Saturday morning when police say Gyimah, in the red shirt, was beaten by 5 passengers he had given a ride to in his taxi who refused to pay their fare and then tried to rob him in the Far Rockaways. He fell to the ground and hit his head, causing severe head trauma.
His life has just been cut short just like that.
Police say 2 men turned themselves in to the 101st precinct last night. 20-year-old Austin Amos now faces several charges, including manslaughter, gang assault, and theft. 20-year-old Nicholas Porter faces gang assault and theft charges.
Investigators say they are still looking for the others involved. Gyimah's wife says she is actually praying for them, hoping they do the right thing.
I'm telling them to turn themselves in because...
No, I mean... I get it, and sometimes it works. It looks like they caught a few of them already. But the praying for them and all this extra stuff, I mean, look.
They want justice to be served.
She says her husband was the family's breadwinner and does not know how she will raise, feed, and put their 4 children through college without him. In Co-op City in the Bronx.
So much for protect black women. I mean, this is crazy, y'all.
Natalie Dudridge, CBS 2 News.
My husband was killed. He was murdered. He didn't have to die this way.
Abigail Barwa sits in her Bronx home, consoled by loved ones after her husband was killed, when police say he was assaulted by passengers of his taxi who did not pay the fare.
The call came in that he's dead. He woke up to go to work. I didn't even see him when he was leaving, obviously, because he left early, expecting him back in the evening, but never happened.
This surveillance video from a nearby bodega shows the cab drive by, and moments later, people running in the opposite direction.
Wow.
Police say Kutin Gyimah let out the passengers near Beach 54th Street and Arvern Boulevard in the Edgemere section of Queens at around 6:30 Saturday morning. Police add they refused to pay for the trip.
And I mean, it's just crazy because you see the FBA and the ADOS get upset about being called Akata and all these stuff, but then you see things like this, and I mean, it's hard not to notice. Everybody's being affected, even your boy Janquavius. So I think it's safe to say these Super Akata Gremlins are on demon time.
Tried to rob him, and once Gyimah ran after them, he was struck by at least one of the suspects, fatally hitting his head on the ground.
Nothing is easy in America. Nothing is free. When you work, you have to get paid. He offered service to these people. They had to give him what he deserved, but they chose not to give it to him, take his life. But all I'm telling them is, I leave everything to God.
Gyimah, originally from Ghana, also leaves behind 4 young children he loved dearly and worked hard for, no matter how exhausted he was.
I'm like, Kofi, if you're tired, just take a rest. He said, Abby, let me go. Man has to work to put food on the table for the family.
Barwa says her 5-year-old son woke up in the middle of the night crying because he often slept with his father.
Wow.
With a strong support system, she's finding the strength to move forward with.
And it's just like more perpetuation of boys growing up without their fathers, except he was doing the right thing, and hopefully his teachings will last. I know it's gonna be tough for this mother. Y'all seen the GoFundMe, show some support. But when are we gonna say, yo, it's time to end this?
Without her husband.
We've lost a treasure. I have lost my hero, my backbone.
And the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers is offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrests of the suspects. In the Co-op City section of the Bronx, Michelle Ross, Pix 11 News.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.